There we go.
Hello, everybody.
Hi,
Thank you,
everybody.
Terry.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for being on, Jeff. I'm so excited. I really
You're
am.
so welcome. I mean, there's so many different angles from which we could approach everything right now with what's going on in the world, but I feel as if you center me more than I could center anybody. So, whoops, let me turn this off.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, it's so nice to have you here. And hi, everybody out there. We are simulcasting this. So if you see or if you post on Jeff's channel, and please do, you may not see the chatter from my channel, but we'll try to keep everything together here. And yeah, so subscribe and like to Jeff's channel, definitely. Throw ass backwards. Hi, oil painter Diana and Claudia and Teresa. So, and everybody else out there. Wow. Yeah. So it is hard to stay centered right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very hard. And as I was telling you before, we're sort of in that in between time with seasons too, which is sort of like a microcosm of all the energy shifting where you kind of feel cloistered indoors because, you need the heat in the morning. And then if you're not doing anything else, or if you have time to ruminate or think about things that are either unpleasant or that you don't have anything to do, you're caught in your own mind. And that's why I'm grateful for my YouTube community and people like you. And even, some of the more morbid psychics whose name I won't go into, and some of the shows that are conspiratorial in nature that I enjoy watching because they take my head somewhere else. I'm a very creative person, so I like to wander, but I also like the historical shows, like Frontline and all those other political shows. But there is something to be said for overdosing on that stuff because it's like the Eight of Wands card. It comes in so fast, and then all of a sudden you're just like, like I've ingested too much of it, as you say. So
yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, it does. It's easy to go, and it's very interesting and intriguing. And of course, they make the algorithms and everything that on the media or in the media that you kind of get hooked on it pretty easily.
I get very hooked on it.
I think
I can think of so many different things that I should be doing with my free time, or even like at work, I have to have YouTube on, and then I'll slip into some shows. And then if I can't watch, I get all upset when a phone call comes in and I find myself flipping the bird to the caller on the other end because they can't see me. I'm like, fuck.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
That's how addicted I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll admit it readily.
Well, it's easily done. And yeah, finding time to go out there and walk. But so there's a lot of the meditation group here right now, I can see. And,
oh, good.
Yeah, and it's funny because this morning we did that. We kind of went into the ley line energy, the crystalline energy, and wove everything around the planet, like just the ley lines. And I was out walking with my dog just half an hour ago, and I was walking and I was like imagining, one ley line, the next ley line, the next ley line, as you're walking along the street. It was a lot of energy, and I was like, I think I need to go lean against this tree and kind of get settled.
Or it reminds me of when you try to skip the pavement cracks when you were walking because of superstition and whatever. But this is such a good thing. And as I said yesterday in your meditation, or it might have been this morning, I can't remember because I get so entranced by it. I had a vision of ley lines that were balance beams.
Yes.
So I feel as if we're walking on some of those right now.
Yeah.
And it's a very stressful situation,
Yeah.
But it's what we do. It's what we've been doing our whole lives, I think. So it's culminating in these realizations that those paradigm shifts are happening, So
yeah, lots of paradigm shifts. I just need to pull this up from Jezreel because she is sitting in the hospital waiting to find out if her daughter is in labor or not.
Wow.
Jezreel, that's so exciting. Are there any, does she know what she's having or how many, or has she done anything? It's just so exciting. Yes, it is. She says it's so exciting. Well,
congratulations.
Yeah. What a joyous time. So I've waited many a day in the hospital for family to have their kids and friends, and my sister honored me with letting me be in the labor room with her, the birthing room. That was amazing. Oh, a little boy. Oh my God. Paxton Lee. I love it. See, and we're talking about things going on in the world, and this is the most important thing in the world. Paxton Lee right now.
It is.
Yeah.
He is. Sorry. He is.
Yeah.
Although we're in with the gender, when we're against gender bifurcation or whatever. Maybe I had a vision someday we're not going to be looking at gender anymore. We're going to be light beings. But I don't think that's in our lifetime. Or at least in mine, I don't think.
Well,
that's
not in this dimension. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I would agree with you there, but yeah, I can definitely see that. I think there's a lot of galactics that are they're non-binary. Is that non-binary? Is that the same thing?
Yeah, I always confuse the two because it's like a I don't want to say a false start. That's the wrong equivalency, but you don't adhere to 0 or 1. When I think of non-binary, I think of 0 or 1, meaning you don't attest to being one or the other.
Yeah.
So you're not non-binary, meaning by virtue of the fact if we have non-binary, we still have binary. You know what I mean? Oh. So I think you're right. I don't think we'll have, you know what I'm saying? It's like double negatives. I think someday we won't have any of that.
Well, I agree with you. That makes a lot of sense. And I think anything that starts with a negative, like non, is not good.
It's defeatist.
Yes. I'd rather stay positive for sure. Anyway, yeah, it's lovely. Book Bewitched is saying, I space the political with short fun videos of babies and animals. It's a rule for me now, as advised by my son, who uses it for himself. I love that.
That's a very good. Yeah, that's a very good approach.
Yeah.
Or even like a cat video with the cat purring. I used to do that. But now with the YouTube algorithms such as they are, I find myself falling into the traps where I'm intrigued by the same videos over again, unless you pull away from it and start with one that's so completely different. They'll just keep showing you the same things over and over. And I know a lot of people get their news solely from YouTube, and it's not a bad thing. You know, you can save on the cable and all that other stuff, but the danger of it is the idea of a niche audience is, I think, good because Brody, stop. The streaming networks and all of them came after YouTube, you know, and got popular. I think that we were on the precipice of what was coming because people wanted to see what they wanted to see and how they wanted to see it. So whether it's a political thing or it's something else, it supports your own viewpoints and it reinforces them unless you do as you say and take a break from it, you know, book Bewitched and go and do something differently. Otherwise, you're just adhering to your own stuff, and that's the biggest challenge of YouTube, even among, you know, the psychic communities, because so many of us prefer the political to the spiritual, and it was only until you, Terry, that I was caught in that trap where all I would watch were political psychics, and then even the ones who do or who overlap into the spiritual or do the meditation type of thing. I'd only watch their political videos. So then when you came along, that kind of changed for me. I started getting into more of the mediumship stuff. And as I said, I didn't realize I could do readings other than political readings when I got trained, because I used shout out to Spiritual Growth Tarot and her community as a member. I use her stuff to learn tarot, and she's so good because she's technical, but she's also transcending the technical, because she's got the ability to read empathically, so you can go on to some of these channels where they have, learn tarot in 15 minutes just by knowing this stuff, which I don't support. But if you've got the technical base and then you've got the empathic base, she can read on 6 different, she'll come up with 6 different things, Terry, and you'll be like, oh my God, how did you come up with that? And they're all equally valid. They all could ring true for somebody out there. So that's why they have 8 or 10,000 subscribers. So
yeah, she's amazing, Denise. Yeah, she's phenomenal. And if you catch her on when she does the spiritual part of it, she's really incredible teacher. So yeah, I love her. Everybody's joining in, and I just want to mention that Jeff has 2 books of poetry. Some Good Writs. Is it Some Good Writs?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. And Speaks for Itself. So kind of got a shine on it. Anyway, I love the picture on that.
Oh, thank you.
So is this like a play off of Andy Warhol on this one, or what? I love that.
There's a what do you call it? There's a painting by Salvador Dali called The Persistence of Time, where all the clocks are bent over trees. And so my thing was, the book doesn't adhere to standard poetic forms, and it doesn't adhere to it's very stream of conscience, stream of conscience, right? No, wait, very stream of conscious. So what I did was, I thought the surrealist perspective and the gentleman who did it, Charles Swartlow, was able, as a framework, because I said to him, I want you to use that persistence of time. So instead of clocks, you have these lips that are embellished, that are just walking around as if they're little automaton lips, if you will. And they're embodying that people think without speaking. And this is kind of a good thing for the way the book is rendered. And it's also a bad thing if you're not attuned spiritually to the notion that even the negative resonance that some of these poems have in the present, when you read them, you may have gleaned a lesson that you didn't when you were experiencing it, or it may ring true down the line through prophecy, as I say, because you, in your own life or what you're seeing, when you're developing your own abilities and you have the ability to channel, all poetry is just channeling. So you're picking up on energy the way someone else or a reader would, but you don't know if it's going to resonate more to someone in the present, or if, given that everything is oneness now and we're moving into that sort of realm, it's like when you're meditating in that space, as you put it in the meditations, between time and space, is what these notions are of these poems, in the sense that you're describing a feeling viscerally in the moment that you may not feel. And it could be something as mundane as going to the doctor and worrying about getting a colonoscopy. That's in Some Good Writ. Okay. And it's not the most ideal thing for a poem, but it really, it spoke to me when I wrote it, and it made sense. Or New Year's Eve, for instance, that's another idea. So there's a certain timeless element, and I hate using timeless because it implies there is time, but there isn't time. And that's why, especially on the first book, Bringing It Full Circle, I wanted that Salvador Dali idea tilted on itself. So you know what I mean? Like, that's why you see what you see the way you see it on the front cover of Speaks for Itself.
Yeah, it's great. It says on Easy Street too, which I love a lot.
Like, that's the thing. A lot of people,
Yeah.
And I meant that too as a metaphor for people that cannot care when they're just speaking freely and floating with it, or those people that cast aspersions on or judgments on others without thinking through what they're saying, as if they're higher up, because when I put it all together, a lot of those, I would say about 65% of those were written between 2012 and 20. Some of them came before that, and I reworked them. I'd been writing since 2000, but I never really. In California, there's a singer by the name of Tara Kemp, and her mother Alice. I would post all these on Facebook. That's probably why they don't sell. I said, she's like, someday you should put out a poetry book, and I did. And the only thing I regret about it is having been on Instagram and all these. They're called, for entertainment purposes only, bookstagrammers. They bilk you out of money saying, oh, we can make you a star. We can really sell your book. To the tune of 50 grand I spent trying to promote it through them and through places like Online Book Club or Book Trib. Some of them work better than others in those particular instances, but it's hard when it's print on demand because you don't know. It's kind of like buying CBD when CBD was in the Wild West, because everybody's a writer now, but not everyone's a reader. And I don't mean like a tarot reader. I mean like a reader of poetry or a reader of anything. So it gets more difficult, to sell them. But my thinking is with people's, patience, and especially in the tarot community where there's that element of oneness, there's that element of spirituality that resonance, translates or appeals to a broader sector of the audience. And that's what I found since I've started showing these to people on here. And that's partly why I started my channel, because if you look at the way I present my meditations or my asks, I call them asks through prayer. They work out really well because I'm divorcing myself of my bias. When I do the poetry before I lay out the cards, I'm sure people have seen it. So
yeah. Do you have any favorites in here or do you have any new poetry? Because I do. They're unbelievable, you guys. I just feel like
oh, you're too kind.
They really are. You can feel your soul in them, Jeff. They're really quite lovely. That before it gets too late, I mean, some of them are so poignant, and
my favorite have to be the New Year's, the ones about New Year's Eve, because there's that element of prophecy for the new year, and it's also some of the more lighter fare in Some Good Writ. Most of Some Good Writ's about my dad and that dying. I would come home every day from the hospital, and I wasn't crying, but it was my way of feeling as if I was accomplishing something, almost as if it were prayer, Terry. And I know that sounds really moribund considering how depressing a lot of that work is. But when you release something, you have, and it's not catharsis for catharsis' own sake. You feel like you've got something tangible that you've learned, that you've got in your hand, the palm of your hand, through what you've picked up on or learned. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even in the worst times in that moment, if you're able to do that in the moment, I think you can survive anything. And there's nothing worse. Well, there hasn't been anything worse for me, God forbid there wouldn't be, than losing a parent.
Yeah. It's horrible. Um, yeah, everybody's saying very interesting. They love this. So it is when you can put that out there and release it and share it, and other people, I mean, could really feel it. It's a teaching moment. I don't want to say just a teaching moment. It's like a healing moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean about the past, present, the future, past. I don't believe in the idea that we're confined to. That's why I think the 5D is more about time construct than it is about dimensional ascension, because I think it's time is like a painting, and to God it's all one. And that's why, especially with death, one of the things I've learned by writing that book, Some Good Writ, is that as depressing as it all sounds, it's a reflection on the fact that within that moment there's a resonance about life, because even as death is upon you, you're still feeling it as a light being, as someone with feeling, as an empath, as someone with emotion. So it's not like, oh my God, it's so depressing, like, or because you're reflecting on your childhood too, and some of the things that your parents did to you, as when one of them leaves this earth. So that in parallel, or with that symbiosis, it can seem worse than it is, but this is all oneness to me. I think we get in trouble when we start ruminating about things in the past, because all we have is now. Like with everything going on in the world, and this is another thing of which I've been accused of on my channel, is being a fear monger. I've gotten people letters about that. And when I'm using the word apocalypse, I'm not using it to mean the end of the world. I'm using it almost the way the death card would be in tarot, that, it's like a reckoning. And I think sometimes when we have that reckoning, even if we're not the same as we were before, or whole in the same way we're better.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't want to sound holier than thou, but that's how I feel about it. Like, even at my worst, I can elevate myself in ways I couldn't before, because now it's not just about me. It's about the cyclical nature of things, but it's also about the oneness of things. That's all. I mean,
Yeah.
And I say it with such, like, I'm not being glib. I really do believe that. So
I feel you. Yeah, I feel like when you have that and you have something that happens to you, God forbid, this growth opportunity, then the next time it makes you so resilient. The next, hopefully, and the next time that something happens, you're like, well, gosh, I've been through this before, only on a much different level. And it's like, hit me with your best shot, right? But don't. But but it's like, that's all you got. So yeah, I can handle that, no problem.
right.
You're aware and resilient. Resilient. Oh, Teresa Ford says, like a seed that has to burst open to grow. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Definitely. Definitely, Teresa.
And it can take 40 years. It can take 47 years in my case. I mean,
Hey, a lot longer than that, honey. A lot longer. Well, do you want to read one of your poems? You don't have to. I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, only because I'm outside. I didn't bring them with me. I did send one, but I didn't turn my phone on. It's not out of fear. It's just I'm sitting outside and it's kind of hard to.
Yeah. Sure.
So, and the same thing with card reading right now. I can't really do it because I'm out here. But I did that by choice. But I can do intuitive reads.
You're really good.
Cards.
Yeah. So, Jeff, you're an incredible reader too. So
you're too kind, Terry.
no,
You
you
are.
are. You are. You're right on target. So yeah, if anybody has any questions here today, go ahead and throw them out there, and we'll do some intuitive readings, personal readings. Teresa Ford says we're all here because we have more to learn. Yeah,
Yeah.
and teach, right? I feel like, and not, but that's goes both ways, teaching ourselves and teaching others. I feel like we have those soul contracts that we're here to perform and take over, and it's a lot of work sometimes. You know, you find out you were a type A personality before you came into the body. And you're like,
Or
"What
if you're
were we
or if
thinking?"
you're a resistant person or a passive person, and yet we learn through sometimes teaching others more about ourselves. And if you don't do that, then it gets worse and worse and worse for you until you start to embrace your calling as something positive as opposed to suppressing it. So that's why this community also is important. So
Yeah. I'm going to start starring the questions,
okay.
everybody. So, I love that you said that, because I feel like that's part of the process. Like we live it, we learn it, we commit it to wisdom by being it, and then teaching it. Teaching it is that component of something that we've learned, and that's kind of the that's the way that we've really committed to wisdom in a part of us, by teaching.
Yeah. And I feel like that's why we incarnate here in so many different ways, or we incarnate to learn the same lessons, because even if we have the choice to come back here, and again, with absolutism, I don't know that we do. I don't know necessarily we do. But if we do, it's through the lessons that we've gleaned, that we teach others, that we learn more about ourselves, because how we impart those lessons and how we treat others is going to affect what we do next lifetime. So whether we do or whether we don't incarnate for a certain reason is immaterial. It's more about what Teresa said about how we show people we care, how we show people what we know. And the only real problem with that is being human, which is sort of strange to say in light of what I just said before, because we're still going to be prone to things from the ego. We're still going to judge people. We're still going to do it like I did it all day today. And the only one we're really hurting when we keep doing that.
Yep.
The best part of my day was your meditation. Yeah. Because, and at least if like I get annoyed when I'm at work and I'm, helping a member for Medicare, I always end up coming around to them, because it's not about me, and it's not about my gratification, and it's not about, my wanting to sit in front of YouTube and not be on the phone, so I think we sometimes we have blinders on to what it is this life's about. And until those blinders come off, we're going to keep seeing these things in the world repeat themselves. As I said before, I feel like as if maybe for the last 60 years, we've been teetering on the brink of World War III. And it's like, what is that law of infinite where you get closer and closer to something? It's like in calculus, and it's always infinity, right? You never actually get to that point. That's what I feel like the world's like right now.
Yeah.
It's like all this energy and all of these events of the world are replaying themselves at this time with similitude to what they were in the past, because we need to clear it out.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I mean, it's like 50 or 60 years of stuff condensed into like 2 or 3 or 5 years, or maybe as Sterling might say, at 20 years, or, we need to do that to come around. And it doesn't mean it's an apocalypse. I I feel like it's apocalyptic energy. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's
Yeah.
an apocalypse. And I try to make that distinction in my readings. And that's what fascinates me about Nostradamus and all those History Channel things in Gaia, from, you know, Gaia or Ancient Aliens or all that other stuff. So I just went down a rabbit hole. I'm sorry, Terry.
No, I'm like the queen of pitter patter, or not the queen, but I love a pitter patter. There's no worries there. I think it's the law of perpetual motion, the universal law of perpetual motion, where it's always in motion. So you're never going to get to where you thought you were going to get, right? You're always going. Energy is always changing.
Yeah.
And we never achieve something and stop. It's gonna keep moving.
Going.
Yeah. I had to think about that for a minute.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, the idea that it's the same thing, coming back to what we said before about learning. It never stops.
Yeah.
You know, and even when we go, I want to think that in whatever form it is, if it's light being, or even if we reincarnate, we've been learning since we were an amoeba. I mean, if you want to think of it analogous to if we started as just an amoeba sometime, and even an amoeba in some way has consciousness, you know. Yeah. I want to think.
Yeah, I agree. Every molecule has consciousness. I mean, energy is consciousness. So I like what you were talking about, inertia and thinking that we could become stagnant, but there is a lightness of being when you start having awareness, whether that's through meditation or therapy, or just whatever floats your boat, right? Maybe it's art, maybe it's poetry.
Yeah.
And you do have an awareness there, and that does create that lightness of being. And it's still a balance, though. Every day.
You're still walking a tightrope, because what you're manifesting, you're trying to clear something out, but it's the internal part of you versus the external. But yet you're still an observatory of your own reality. So it's still subjective. But what you said is true, because where is the part where the ego's judging it, even in something like poetry or meditation? And the challenge in meditation is to not eliminate, but appreciate the ego, but not overindulge in it the way we do when we're not meditating. So where is that balance? And I think we come down too hard on ourselves if we say, well, I didn't see anything in meditation, I'm not good at it, I can't. But then there are days, like lately, I haven't seen nearly as much as I did 3 or 4 months ago. I'm getting more from the cards, or I'm getting more from downloads. It balances itself out, but you've got to keep doing a little bit of everything to exercise the muscle. Because if you don't, it's only within the last maybe 3 years that I realized we're more than what we do on a practical everyday basis. And that's for everybody. I'm sure with COVID and everything, everyone felt that way. So
yeah,
you know,
definitely. Teresa Ford's had some good ones here. The Taurus of time, no real edges, right? Yeah, no real edges. And sometimes we just have to rest, Julie says, which is excellent, because sometimes we are acclimating the energy that's come in. Like we get a huge download, and it's euphoric, and not just spiritually euphoric, but also our body creates adrenaline with it, and we're like, whoa, man, amazing. And you can get hooked on that, but your body has to acclimate all that, and your mind.
And it's what I say too about with the value of meditation. I do feel it's as if it's a bubble around you, but it's a very light bubble, in the sense that if you have that lightness, that's your day right there. But as the stresses and the exigencies of life during the day start to really impinge on you, then that's when things get really heavy. So you have to start and go back. And it's an exercise where I think the more you do it, it's almost like alcohol. The more you really need to do it, because you're in control of your faculties more. But for the muscle to develop and for it to have more of an effect, it's like the idea of tolerance versus resistance. You don't develop a resistance to it, but you do build up a tolerance, because you're building a skill that you have, that you always had, that you were divinely born with. But to get the most of it, it's an ongoing process that you should be doing your whole life. That's how I feel about it. It's the same with anything, on this earthly realm, and even for those things that to which we become addicted. That's one of the things I've had to learn is, when I'm confined by the belief that I'm wrong through my addictions, I try to do something good for myself by not having succumbed to those addictions, but by developing another habit, which to some people is not, it's the AA way, but to me it's worked well. You know what I mean? Like it I hate the word supplant, or you became holier than thou, or it's not that. It's that we need to develop habits that will foster a better life rather than hinder it. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you call those habits or behaviors?
I want to say behaviors, because I think the word habit has a negative connotation to it. I don't know. I've never heard, I never really hear of good habit, like only if it's about hygiene. Like I don't, especially as an adult. As a child, it can go either way, and it can be accepted as such. But as an adult, I think it has a more negative or positive, and it's more extreme either way. That's how I view it, and it's more stigmatizing. I don't know.
It is more stigmatizing, and I think when we say it to ourselves, it's even more so. But I know when we're trying to learn new behaviors, and they say 21 days, right, before the brain really takes it on. But or an IM, if you're doing an IM intention, it takes 200 times. But they say if you do it like if you bring in different energy, like if you sing it, or if you dance it, or if you draw it, or write a poem about it, then the energy that it takes is just 10 or 20. Yeah, patterns, Luana. Thank you. Patterns. That's excellent. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. So it does change the energy of it. But it's good on you, Jeff. So yeah. And I feel like so many people come to this planet and it's not easy. And it doesn't just depend on what planet you're from, but your soul contract that you write. Like I said, maybe you were a type A personality on the other side. And you said, yep, check, 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 check. I'll take all those. And
like off the menu. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Egg white omelet. Yuck. So yeah. 100%. Anyway, Julie has something good to say here. The thought packets home with so many layers, right? Maybe it changes our being molecules in some way. Understanding of our interconnectedness. Bingo, yeah. Julie. Yeah. Bingo. Yeah, for sure.
And that's that's how we get in our own way sometimes. But we need to be looking at things like that. It's like the shadow work that Tuda does. or some of the other readers do, Hershey. It's so impactful and it's so important because the absence of light is darkness, but also the absence of darkness is light. So it doesn't have to be a one-way street. You're going to have both simultaneously, so I definitely feel that way, but that's one of the challenges on this planet. And I hope to God that, and if you don't believe in God, or, I hope to spirit, let's say, that if we go somewhere else, we don't have that duality where we're trying to straddle both, like the chariot car. We're trying to play both sides of the road, or be balanced, and can't be. And that's the hard part. And it doesn't have to be a struggle, but we let it be a struggle because we don't accept that we're all loved. We don't accept that we have these abilities. We don't accept that we can use them for good. It's a very monolithic way of looking at things, because money itself has no value, but we ascribe value to it. Time has no value, but we ascribe value to it.
Yeah.
Construct. These constructs that we have to live within. So I think, that's what's so wonderful about being a child, or being someone maybe, and this isn't, or someone who is freer. And I don't believe in free. I mean, prove to me you're free. That's a philosophical idea that I don't think we can do. But if we can get out of our own way, we can be freer,
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? That lightness of being is all about surrendering, letting go, and becoming intuitive. I think is a lot about surrendering and letting go too, allowing yourself the freedom to, hear things or smell things or write things. So many artists here too, and around here,
or accept that content can take different forms. I don't. Yeah. That's what's good about this community.
Yeah, lots of interesting takes on everything.
Yeah.
So heal yourself and heal the whole. Right, Teresa. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I feel like when we're doing that, I mean, if you love yourself first as much as you can, and heal yourself as much as you can, and talk to yourself in a loving manner, you attract that. That's that law of attraction, right?
Oh, I see it. I mean, even as quickly as the negative thoughts can come on you, and we're coming back to that inertia again. And it's hard because we're supposed to be, I've seen a couple of the readers I really like, and I think most people know to whom I'm referring. One of whom says we're in I don't want to say they set a race against time, but we need to hurry and clear those energies out or we'll be left behind, basically. But I don't think they meant it with that immediacy. But when I heard it, I'm like, well, I'm not going to get up and get in an airplane and jump from 5,000 feet, So we need to be careful that we stay grounded in the energies, but not let them overtake us. I fear that. I mean, I don't think there was anything said about my personality changing once we ascended. I'm still going to be introverted. I'm still going to be fearful. I'm still going to have those qualities. But how, Terry, they say that once you let go of your inhibitions or you do jump from a plane, that it changes your life.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I felt from this reading of a couple months ago by two readers whom I valued really. But I was left with this feeling in my like I was going to hyperventilate for maybe a few minutes because I'm just like, I have not done anything close to that. And I will not do. And that's the inertia to which you're speaking, or that you're speaking to. I don't see myself overcoming it in this life. All I can see myself doing is being a beacon or a conduit for relaxation and for revelation to others. That's all I can. And that's enough. That's enough.
That's a gift.
And that's a gift. Yeah.
100%. That's a gift. And We all have our own light DNA and our own different qualities and gifts. And that's your gift, and that's as valid as anybody else's gift, is what I believe. So, yeah, and it's definitely it's valued.
Oh yeah, and I think I'm not saying that people who do heavier forms of hypnosis or can shift their behaviors through going, that they can't do it. Or remember that exercise that you might have done as a kid where you fall backwards and someone is supposed to, catch you. Yeah. I was very fearful of that when I went to certain camp, and I never could do it. I was very afraid to swim. I couldn't be underwater. So innately, and I can't blame my parents for this, and if you read my books, you see I blame them for a lot, but I can't blame them for the type of person I am. They're just inherently there, although maybe under hypnosis they'd find things that Freudian wise they could trace back to them and say this is the reason why you're the way you are. But I don't think it's that simple. I think because if we keep doing that, even when we've lost a parent, we're placing it's very 3D and 2D. It's like we come through them, but we're not them. So we have to do our own soul work at some point. And that's what I'm realizing now too, because I still cast aspersions the same way my mother used to cast aspersions on her parents. And I don't necessarily know if she made peace the way I have not yet with hers, or with her. But I think, the horrible things my father did vis-a-vis her or vis-a-vis me, I can't let those things either guide me, because those bring me down about feeling conflicted about someone's death, about whom in the end, and I don't mean in the proverbial end, I mean down the line, we just grew closer and closer through the years, when she left, because she had to leave to preserve herself from him. And so when I try to relate to her, there's a certain, and that coldness hasn't gone away from her where he's concerned. When he passed, I'm sorry you're going through this, but I didn't spend 40 years of, and that's that duality where she couldn't be there. But yet on the other hand, I can kind of understand why, but then I get mad at her about it and then I try to steer away from it. So,
yeah. It's a lot. And if they're gone or they're not present, or if they're, passed, walked out of this body or something, it's different.
Yes.
It takes on a completely different way of, forgiveness takes a different route.
Oh, yeah. And some of us go through our lives, and that's the thing is I try to send that light, like what Truth Warrior Tarot says. Send the negativity back to the Galactic Confederation of Light. Take it back, take it back, take it back. Because it's like you catch yourself in a thought, Terry, and that thought takes residence in your mind, but it's going to take residence anyway until you say, no. And that's the sad part of being human too. We can't all go around having lobotomies. It's just, we can't be, that's why I have a poem in there called Worldwide Lobotomy. It's, we just, if we had that, we wouldn't be having the wars we're having now, but it's dualistic. It's either them or it's we against they. It's good or bad. It's just, there's that, but there's this gray area that exists that can be more painful than the bad if we don't work through it. And that's what I think my work touches on, because we're going to have these thoughts and they're going to mean different things at different times to different people.
Yeah.
And how we clear them is everything. So,
yeah, I love, wow, warrior girl. Yeah. 100%.
Yes.
Never conspire.
And that's what we think's happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we think we judge ourselves and we think it's other people that are judging us. I do that all the time. First step is to forgive any hurt that anyone has done to you. Second, remove the blame for yourself. We teach others how to treat us. It has worked for me, but I didn't learn it till I was in my 50s. Amen, Carolyn. Yeah. It is to forgive is not to forget. And to remember that there are so many good times with these individuals. Many times there was a great love there, and
Yeah,
it's usually the ones that we have that great love with that have damaged us the most, or not damaged,
yes,
but hurt, right? Yeah,
yeah,
we were vulnerable, and we still want to be vulnerable.
right. And that's the thing is, I used to work with someone that said, and it was when I worked in fundraising. It was a job that paid very little, and people would often have to take that job to scrape by. And she categorically said that, well, a lot of people here are just damaged.
Oh,
That's just wrong.
yeah,
No, not damaged, broken. And I thought to myself, it didn't sit well with me, because it's like, if we all thought of ourselves that way, we wouldn't be doing ourselves a favor. But for someone to think that about, in general, a group of people, it's harmful, because I think the victim mentality is one thing, but when we have a group of people or politicians doing it, but when we have our own kinship, or the people that we're supposed to be in the same boat we are, it's very, very, it's
yeah,
it's one
it
thing.
is.
And it's what we don't need.
Yeah, it is so hurtful. Yeah, and if somebody does it about somebody you love, it's even more hurtful than if you were
And
to do
it's
it
done
yourself.
constantly in families. It's done. It's still done. And I just
Yep.
I get it. I don't get it at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Craig Dixon lightens the mood here. He just bought Halloween candy at Walmart, 60% off. The kids don't come, it's mine. Craig, I'm right there with you. I was telling my daughter earlier, we're going up to CVS and getting some, discounted stuff, but I put it away, the toys for the kids for next year, for the neighborhood kids. I do. Halloween is my holiday. I love Halloween. It's so much fun. So,
Must
anyway,
when the veil's the thinnest, so I get it. I mean, the veil's the thinnest, and I think spiritually it might be advantageous, because speaking of gray area, that's where it is grayest. We stand a better chance of manifesting things then. I can see, but I also see it from the perspective of the people who aren't enlightened enough to appreciate Halloween for what it's. They think it's just a demon holiday, and it's like, no, it's not actually. You go up to Salem, 20 minutes from me, or maybe 45 minutes. It's a whole event, and you see the readers, and you see the history of things, and you see the persecutions and the stories of the persecutions, and you kind of understand more about the history, and we're going through it now, on some level. Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard. I'm sorry, I have to laugh. Sonia, you're cracking me up here, girl. I don't know if you can see that or not. So 60% off at the store, 100% on my hips. Amen, Sonia. I love that. Oh, Craig. Allie wants to do. Yeah. So I'm gonna email you. I'm gonna get your email tonight, Craig. Craig's got some stories to tell us about Heart and Soul Connected and what happened at Bryce Canyon event. Okay.
Yeah, I got to hear about that, because
Yeah.
Andrea's not on as much anymore, and I haven't seen Kevin Lewis. I think he went, and
Yeah.
Low
He's not
Valley.
on very often. Yeah. Um, yeah, Allie's husband has been ill, so I didn't bother her yesterday about it, but I see her today after you, so we've got a book or Ancestors with Annie Bear we're doing. So yeah, so gosh, so we didn't get around to any readings, anybody.
That's fine. I'm
Yeah,
glad in a way, because to be honest with you, I wouldn't want to do them without my cards.
you'd be really good at it.
No, I like my cards because the live energy I get at the moment, even if no one's on the other end of a live, Terry, if I'm doing a live, I get better hits than if I'm not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. Totally.
Even if it's one eyeball or two eyeballs coming in and out, I would rather do that. I mean, I like to tape to tape readings, but I see now the value in doing it live because I've gotten hits on lives, whether it's with Allie or with you, that I wouldn't get otherwise.
Yeah. Oh, Kevin has COVID, they're saying now. Carolyn has. Oh. Well, we'll send him prayers right now, surrounding him in light. Yeah, and Allie's husband, right, Julie? I think Allie's husband's on the mend, but I know he's still something there. So, and George. So we were together yesterday, and he's not feeling well. But yeah. So anything that you want to leave us with today or talk about?
Come join my channel, like and subscribe. I know I'm an amateur as far as making videos go. I promise I'll get better. I know the focus and the lighting is off on a lot of my videos, y'all, and I know that I should get probably, especially with my tarot card readings, a higher, what do you call it? What do you call it?
Resolution camera?
Yeah, or what do you call those things that...
A microphone?
No.
Oh, a stand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To look at the cards, but I appreciate whether it's one or whether it's 100, because I know there are so many different readers on here that it's impossible to read. Like, I do it. I have 7 that are in my stable, and some are second or third tier. Like even Tarot by the Bay, of whom I've become a fan, I can't get to all his videos. Yeah. He says he only does 2 a day, but he's so well informed. You guys join his channel. And then there are some Reiki channels I've joined. I guess what I would say is try to find your niche, because the wealth is in you, but it's not about abundance. Isn't about money. It's about enriching yourself, and enriching yourself can take many forms. So I learned this late in life. If you do about which you're passionate, you'll be a lot better off. And that's why I'm grateful to all of you guys. That's what I want to leave it with.
I love that. That's amazing. Well,
and low vibrational stuff, you guys, we don't have room for it. We'll explode or we'll get sick. Like, I can feel it in my chakras, not to be too descriptive, but when I feel my, I want to say it's the root chakra, but the areas from which we expel stuff, and it's in pain, and there's a lot of low vibrational energy around me. Terry and I talked about what that is this morning a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Try to get it under control through meditation or through diet or something, you guys, because as Jason Tempinski said, and I'm a guru of his. He said something that cancer is anger, and I liked it for a couple of reasons. They rhyme in a way, but he's able to attribute different pains to different parts of the body. And Terry is able to also, through her meditations, heal those parts of the body. You know, when she has the shoulders and there's a method to what you're envisioning or she's advising you to envision. So also stick with Terry too. That's the other thing I want to leave it with, because you think it's woo woo and whatever, but there's no woo woo to it. She's trained in doing this, and I can tell because the sensations I'm getting, if it sounds too didactic or too preachy, the sensations I'm getting are at the exact points, whether it's on the body point or whether it's in the point in the meditation before sometimes she'll even say it. Or I will have in my mind the image that she says before she even says it. So there's got to be something to this intuition, you guys, that is trainable and teachable, but only certain people. And I just wish Terry got more credit than she did. Because it was funny because it was who was it? Oh yeah, it was Debbie Freebird Spirit was the one going over there at the beginning, saying like nah. And then I started doing it in like October or November of last year. I'm like, Terry knocked me on my ass. She put me to sleep and relaxed me, and that was the start of it. And I was just like so thankful. So I want to leave it with stay with Terry and join her channel if you haven't.
Oh, very kind, Jeff. And everybody, please subscribe and like.
It's not enough ass kissing, but
yeah.
That's how I feel, you guys. That's what I think.
That's so sweet. Well, it's a combo. It's the group effort too, because the group energy raises the vibration for sure. And you've been there, and so many have been there, and we get deeper and deeper and faster.
Yeah, that I've noticed too. And I've noticed that when I'm not doing it with you guys, it's not as good.
Oh,
so that's why I'm grateful that we did change it to those couple days a week where I can, because it's a lifeline.
Oh,
where you space them out. So I'm grateful for that.
Good. So yeah, well, yeah, it's nice to have the different times now. So, but hi Millicent. So everybody have a great weekend. And what are you doing next? Are you going to be live tonight, or what are your plans?
Tonight, no, but I'll do my energy. I have something coming up with Indigo Intuitive Arts, I think a week or two from now. I do have a few more lives. I had a couple that I'm going to do probably tomorrow night. I'm going to take a break tonight. I had an hour live that I'd like people to watch from last night on a variety of different topics, one of which is about YouTube readers and the overarching idea that the ascension is all about light and not any type of negativity should be focused on or negative outcomes, and how the idea of being defeatist isn't bad if it shows us or teaches us what we need to learn, and the authenticity of reading to your own truth. But other than that, no, nothing. Other than that, nothing.
Well, have a great weekend. Yeah, we are a wonderful group, Fatima, right? Yeah, it was such a joy to have you on, Jeff. And
we got to do it again.
We got to do it again. Yeah, I mean, ditto. I'm having a blast. So, yeah, the shadow is the most overlooked part of the path, right? Warrior girl, for sure. So I love that. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we will see you soon.